This episode brought to you by Adult Onset Allergies. God, I hate my sinuses.
This is Hot Drop, where we bring you premier PUBG analysis and Death Valley drops. I'm Dano,
And I'm Cody.
and let's get into it.
All right, Dano. I got a fever. And the only cure is more Sanak.
Sauvage, sausage,
Sausage.
spaghetti, and meatballs.
Take it away, meatball.
Welcome to episode 43 of Hot Drop. And first and foremost, we gotta plug Discord, like we always do. But
Go to the Discord.
there's one thing about the Discord. It sort of encourages a little bit of chatter, you know? You're there to talk with people and hang out and find a game. But what if you're not someone who really enjoys talking? What if you're an Xbox player and you don't really care what's going on in the Discord, but you still kind of like what the Hot Drop boys are up to? Well, we just made an Xbox club. So we have an official Xbox club now. I don't know how to link it because I'm very new to Xbox, but if you just search in the clubs for Hot Drop, you'll see our logo and you can join that club. I think you have to actually send me an invite because that's how they work. I don't really know a way around that. But yeah, that's just another way to find people on Xbox to play with, and you guys can jump into a squad that way. What about this community night thing, Cody? You want to talk about that for a second?
So my good friend Dano here launched a survey this week, which a good amount of you responded to concerning what games you might want to play on a community night with us. And we got a lot of responses, and those results I don't have in front of me. But there's some games.
But I have them in front of me. So we got pretty decent number of responses. They say that a 10 to 15% response rate is a good response rate. And, you know, we're a small-time podcast, I would say. We got 38 responses. I think that's pretty solid. If there's 38 of you out there that want to play with us, I'm pretty flattered. I don't know about you.
That's 38 more than I thought.
Yeah, right. So the results are in, and it looks like more Xboxers than PC. A grand total of 57.9% of you are Xbox players, while 36.8% are PC, and a measly 5.3% are mobile. So I sent this survey out to sort of gauge interest and see what platforms you guys play on, and then also if you're sick of PUBG or want to do a different game, what other games might you be interested in? So it looks like 15 of you have PCs that you can play on, and 20 of you have Xboxes, and 9 of you have PS4s. As far as the other games that you'd be interested in playing, it looks like Fortnite comes in tied for second place with 15, along with Battlefield, and Call of Duty is on the top with 17 responses as the number one game you'd like to play if you were sick of PUBG. Also had a couple people vote for CSGO, H1Z1, and Gary's Mod, Rainbow Six Siege, a bunch of different other games. But it looks like overwhelmingly you guys are interested in Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Battlefield. So these are games that we would consider for a community night once we get these things rolling, and if PUBG is sort of not having a good time. You guys are not having a good time with it. Overwhelmingly, it looks like the weekend is a time that you guys would like to play. 26 of you said that, and weekend evenings are what works the best. So I want to shout out to all of you guys who have sent this survey results in. Super thankful for all of that. We got some really good data here, and like we said, a lot higher response rate than I expected.
Agreed.
So we're going to use this to come up with the night and time that we're going to start off community nights, and look for that really soon. We just have to nail down which day we want to do them on. And I want to do a mix of Xbox and PC. I had someone ask me today on the Discord if we were going to do Xbox too. So I said,
That
yeah.
means I
yeah.
need to get an Xbox.
And how are we going to get you an Xbox, Cody?
We're going to launch a Patreon, everyone. We want you guys to buy me an Xbox.
And that's the kind of transparency that you've come to expect from the Hot Drop podcast.
Yep. I feel like you
buy us
need
an
to add
Xbox.
in like crickets after that. Like, I want you to buy me an Xbox.
Boo. Yep.
Uh, but we're gonna do this because we actually are doing pretty okay with paying for our domain name and our Libsyn account at the moment from donos that we've gotten over the stream. But I have a house and a puppy and 2 kids, and I need an Xbox. And
You
I
also need to
can't buy
upgrade your
that.
PC too, but
Yeah,
that's coming later. At least it plays PUBG now.
yeah, it works. It works. It does things.
But yeah. So we joked about it a couple episodes ago, but you know what? If you guys are interested in giving us a little bit of money, spare couch change, whatever you want to do, we would be forever grateful. We want to get Cody up on Xbox so we can get some community game nights in with everyone on all platforms. Because we've seen from the survey right there, we have a stronger showing on Xbox than we do on PC that want to play with us. So check out the link in the show notes. And yeah, if you guys are so inclined, we would love to be honored with your spare change.
Got any spare change? But we do have a really cool change that we're doing.
Yeah.
We
Speaking of change, look at that segue, man. That was beautiful.
we have 2 entities on this show. The PUBG hotline, 508-216-0006, and the question of the week. What our good friend Lemon One brought up today was that we should make those the same thing.
Boom.
Every week, we are going to have our question of the week pulled in on the PUBG hotline, 508-216-0006. And we want your responses mostly via voicemail, but we'll accept texts. Because we've gotten some pretty good voicemails on here, but we really enjoy them a lot, and we'd like to have them interrupt our day more often.
Yes. Perfectly put.
So from now on, every time we do our question of the week segment, this is when we're going to filter in our voicemails. This is when we're going to review the text messages. And we may or may not have some guest speakers to read aloud the text messages if possible.
Yes, absolutely. And there were a couple text messages that I actually missed in previous weeks, so you're going to hear those at the end as well. But yeah, like, why not combine these things, dude? It makes so much sense. John's coming in with the great points over and over and over again.
Just a smart man.
He's a smart man.
We've got one coming in a little bit later.
Yeah,
But for now,
really good topic, though, by the way.
yeah,
I'm
we're talking
really
about
excited
competitive gaming today and the future of PUBG and competitive gaming.
Good stuff. I do want to bounce back really quick, actually, to Discord. So we have had some people say that they're getting a lot of notifications. And this is sort of why we set up the Discord the way it is. So all of you guys are wrong. No,
I'm not. You're wrong. Every one of you.
yeah, so you know we have the rooms that are like looking to play PC, looking to play Xbox. I noticed that the Xbox room is a little more popping off than the PC one. But if you guys are an Xbox player or a PC player and you're just getting too many notifications about things that aren't relevant to you, what you can do is go to the channel itself and you can mute that channel. You can also go into your Discord settings and change it so that you only receive notifications when you are tagged with your username, so when someone is directly looking for you. And that will just cut down on the amount of spam notifications, honestly. I really don't want anyone to leave the Discord just because they're getting too many notifications. If you don't play PUBG at all anymore, let me know. I can take you out of groups. But we really would prefer to keep everyone sorted by what platform they play on, just because it makes it so easy. When you come in, you can say, all right, I know exactly who plays for what platform, and I can find my squad mates that way. But just let us know if you have any feedback like this. More than willing to make some accommodations for you. But that's one thing I wanted to just point out because some people have come forward and said something like that.
Last thing, we should probably promote our LAN party this weekend.
Yeah, go for it, dude. It's your house, your rules.
My house, my rules. Myself and most of the hot droppers this weekend are traveling out to New York to my home to have a LAN party for PUBG. This Sunday, we are playing from probably noon until our eyes bleed in my basement. It'll be awesome. We're going to act like it's 2001 again. There's going to be so much just craziness happening. We're going to stream all day long. So tune in for all of you UK listeners out there. We know that you don't get a chance to watch our live streams very often. So this will work out pretty well for you. It should start right around your evening time, I think. So
Yeah.
get in there, give us a watch, jump into that chat. We'll be glad to see you guys. So get in there. Hot Drop LAN party.
Hot Drop LAN party. And
Land droppers.
I haven't mentioned this to you yet, so we'll see what you think. But I was able to dig up an old webcam. So if we want to like put it in the corner of the room and broadcast a real stream out, you just might see what we look like. I just worry that my face will never live up to your expectations at this point.
I'm 80 pounds heavier than you want me to be.
Oh, God. Speaking of fat, I'm going to just be gorging myself on all your smoked meats.
Oh, the smoked meats. It's smoking meats. You're going to love my ribs. It's smoking meats. And
Try 'em,
the
you love
smoked
'em.
meats. Try my smoked meats. You love my smoked meats.
Oh, man. It's going to be delicious. All the cider and beer and wings and ribs and brisket. Try the smoked salmon. You'll love it. Oh,
smoking
can't
meats
wait.
out here.
So, yep, this weekend coming up real soon. So if you're able to listen to this right after we drop it, it'll be 2 days from then. So make sure you tune in quick into the Hot Drop podcast channel. And also, I think we mentioned it already, but if you haven't subscribed and given us a rating on iTunes, please do so, because people in the UK have not rated us enough for an average rating, which is 5 ratings. So it just says, we don't know what we're doing because we have no rating. So get in there, drop us as many stars as you feel we deserve, and we will be forever grateful for that.
Forever grateful. We're gonna be forever grateful.
Cody will even sing you a song. It's magical.
Or magical. I will never sing to you again. Whichever you choose.
Yeah, the choice is yours, depending on how many stars you choose to give us.
I will not hold true to not singing again.
Confirmed. So shall we move on to the Xbox box?
Shall. The Xbox box!
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
A dev letter. A dev letter's in the box.
Read that sweet, sweet dev letter.
Hi, players. So they address us accordingly. As Cody said the last episode, it cracked me up. This is a follow-up to the recent dev letter addressing player concerns. So they say they've received a lot of feedback from players that you'd like us to have more frequent and transparent communication. And they hear you loud and clear.
Do they, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. They say they do. Let's read on and see. Patch ETA. So they say the next patch is planned to release on June 5th. June 5th has come and gone, and we have not gotten a patch. Moving on. This patch will include fixes, when it finally gets here, for stats not updating, as well as crashing. They also implemented improvements to a system that they introduced recently to reduce crashing and lag in heavily populated areas. And they say they will also make improvements to their prediction-based level streaming, which we will also elaborate on. I think this is the system where they only load things that are sort of near you, so it doesn't really make sense to load the buildings across the map for someone who's over there. It may make sense for them, but not for you, obviously. So they say that a lot of the issues that they're going to be fixing are in regards to performance, stability, and gameplay. These are good things because this is the problem right now. Everyone's seeing that performance is the number one issue. So they go into a lot more detail about some of the things that they're going to fix, stability being the number one thing. And they have a lot more detail in here. I'm not going to get into all of this. Essentially, they're doing little things here and there to work on optimization, and we've addressed some of these in previous episodes. And if you're curious, you can read this dev letter yourself. Map selection, they say, is coming soon as well. It's still in development. They've got some work to do. This was probably one of my favorite recent additions to the game. What about you, Cody?
It's great, but why is it so hard for them to just have a switch where they can turn it on and off?
Yes, that's so accurate. I really don't understand why it's hard to do, but I don't know. It's coming. That's all we know.
I just don't believe that it's hard to do. Like, I don't know anything about coding video games. Like, I just don't believe that it is difficult for them to add something where you can say, no, I don't want that map. I only want this one.
I really have nothing to say other than I agree. Like, it's just a simple yes, no, right? I mean, maybe John can fill us in. He's a little bit more developer minded, but I have no idea.
Okay.
Moving on. World rendering, loading, they say the process is different for each match, for each player in each location, so they're finding the best process to load resources for all scenarios for every player. Prediction level based streaming to speed up the rendering process. They're optimizing the system, blah, blah, blah. Just, I don't know. They're just saying over and over again, we're working on it. This time they're using a lot more words than they were using last time. You can read those words if you want, but honestly, they're kind of boring to me because we know what the issue is, and I'll be satisfied when they fix it. They're just doing a lot of talking right now. So I'll be interested to see the actions rather than the words.
I concur.
Vehicles, they're working on vehicles and terrain so that you don't hit those bumps and explode. They know about that. They're working on it, and more improvements will come later on that front in June. And other important issues that they're investigating are players teleporting to a different location after vaulting. I've seen some GIFs of this, of someone vaulting over a wall and suddenly end up in the ocean. How that even happens is just so beyond me. I do not understand how that's even possible from a netcode perspective, but there you have it. Another issue they're investigating is match not ending, as the game believes another player to be alive, but you can't find them, so you end up just dying to the final circle. Vehicles flipping or exploding for seemingly no reason. Stats not updating, along with just other various bugs. So they're working to improve the communication, and yeah, I do approve and appreciate of this communication that they've done here, but like, let's get some action, you know? Let's get some out with the words and with the patches.
As Elvis said, a little less conversation, a little more action, please.
Please.
All this conversation ain't satisfaction in me.
All of these are true statements. I can tell you're kind of bummed out by the fact you didn't just belt that from the top of your lungs.
A little bit. A little less conversation, a little more action, please. All this conversation ain't satisfaction in me.
The next patch is coming soon. They just said in the dev letter June 5th. It's past June 5th, but the patch is, according to Nico, who is a producer at Microsoft, in certification, and they'll have a lot more information coming in the next few days. By the time you listen to this, it's a good chance that they already have pushed it out, and we'll cover the patch notes in the next episode. Nice. So how about this gameplay tip? I feel like this is something that you could utilize pretty well.
Gameplay tip. This one comes from Jammy Jam, the jammiest of jams.
The Jamster.
Jammy says, drinking the same brand of beer synchronizes gameplay and improves comms. Applies to a variety of beverages, wine, cider, whiskey, and balls. The premium choice for adult non-alcoholic energy drinks.
You heard it here first. But the real tip, use Molotovs defensively. And this is something that I read on the internets recently and never thought of doing until now. So if you're in a house and you're upstairs and you know that there's only one point of entry, use a Molotov to defend your location. Like, throw it at the stairs. Make it so that they can't come up after you. And it gives you a little more time to heal and think about what your next moves are going to be.
That's really smart.
Right? I've never considered that. I always just waste
really
my
like
Molotovs and give away my position with a trail of fire. But there you go.
Solid.
So now let's go into your realm, Cody, your wheelhouse.
You are now entering the personal computer place.
Boom.
They extended Savage this week.
I was so happy, dude. It was.
I have played so much.
It was so refreshing to see that they were extending it 3 days, because like I only got a little bit of chance to play, but because they pushed it, we got in some solid games the past few nights.
Had a couple of dinners. It was nice. It's a smooth flowing map, good texture, a lot of loot, the right amount of loot. Mm-hmm. Because the circles move so fast and you actually run into people that you land anywhere and you're going to be able to loot up a squad.
Exactly. And it's like instantly too.
Yeah, no, it's just great. You get down, you get the things you need, and everybody goes, I have enough weapons to go and fight people. I need attachments later and more ammo. It's the perfect thing.
There's
You go
never
like, oh, I've only got 45 5.56 right now, but we'll have to kill somebody and I'll get more.
That's so funny because I was just gonna say there's never been a situation where I've been light on ammo. Like I always have exactly what I need.
I haven't been light on 5.56 to be fair, but like 7.62 definitely.
Yeah, I guess that's a little more rare because there's fewer guns that use it.
Yeah.
But
But 5.56 usually we're rolling around with like 250, but
yeah,
it's
it's
just
awesome.
it's the right amount of everything. Mods are harder to come by, but I think I found it like AR suppressors or DMR suppressors more often than I would on any other map.
Yeah, I think
It's
there's
just
more,
fun.
more spawn points. Like there's just more places where you can
Yeah.
find loot, and it's just everywhere.
And the vehicles are more versatile, I guess, because you don't always need one.
Yes, that's big for me.
But
We
when
can
you
run everywhere.
yeah, you can run everywhere, but like when you know you need a vehicle, you'll find one, and there might not be enough gas in it.
Hmm.
I have very rarely found vehicles with full tanks or even half tanks on this map. A lot of them are under a quarter.
I found the
Just
same thing.
it's just really interesting to see. It's like they did everything right this time.
Yeah, it's like they really nailed it. That's what I wanted to say too. Is they crushed it because the biggest thing for me, along with the loot, is just the flow, like you mentioned. Like you're always moving. You're always getting pushed to the next circle and then the next circle, and like there was one time where we got a circle that was like I think it was like a minute wait time, and it was or maybe even less because I think what they've done is adjust the wait times based on the number of people alive,
Yep.
so it keeps the game moving. And that's like the biggest problem. Like it's going to be so hard going back to Erangel or Miramar
I know.
to play because it's just so slow and the loot is just so sparse. So it's like
It's terrible.
I want to play Savage all day long. I really
All
do.
day, every single day.
And someone in the Discord said, Xbox should just skip Miramar and just put Savage out because that is an Xbox map.
That's what's going to keep this game afloat is that
Yeah.
smaller map size. They're not going to come out with bigger maps anymore.
Yep. I don't
After-
think they'll
after
come
the
up with bigger than what we
popularity
have.
of this, they won't come out with a bigger, like an 8x8 map again. They
I
won't
agree.
do it.
I agree. They'll see the data as soon as they start data mining this game and seeing all the players on Savage and not playing Miramar.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sick. I love the map. They've done a really good job with the recent enhancements to the areas around the props and the assets that we talked about last episode, the different textures and everything. It feels complete now. It really
The
does.
different sounds are amazing.
Yeah.
I think the only real bug that I've noticed is the motorcycles are always nose end in the ground and the ass
Yeah.
end up in the air.
I see this a
Whatever.
similar thing with the vehicles when you park them. Sometimes you see them just wigging out, just like
Yeah.
flipping all over the place. So minor bugs, but
The dynamic weather, though, right?
yeah, that's
It's
super cool.
awesome. I missed weather.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's back.
the fog is so foggy. I love it.
On like Erangel, I forgot that it existed, and then when it showed up on this, I was like, "Oh, that's right."
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So that is, I've never heard a single player say that they don't like this map. Every
It's so
single
good.
person I've talked to has said they love it.
So good.
One of the other things I like about it a lot is the tree cover. So you can roll up on someone and they have no idea where you came from. You can get the drop on a whole squad constantly. There's so many times where we've been moving through the woods and just suddenly found ourselves on top of another squad. And it's the exact opposite of Miramar. It's no long range fights. 8Xs are completely useless, pretty much. 6Xs are pretty decent. But as far as like trying to use an 8X full time, you're going to have a lot of trouble because there's some areas of the map that are very thick with tree cover. And I like that about it. I like having the 4X and the 6X be your max scope that you're going to want to use. And just all of the sneakiness of this map is so much fun. So they did have a patch, patch number
Kind of
14.
carbo.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about the big stuff last week.
There's honestly, like, we can read through this, but there's not much to talk about in this.
No.
They're optimizing character movement for small boost in frames. Cool. I mean, the frame boost is a lot better than it has been anyway. I'm starting to run close to 60 for everything, and I have a Garbo computer. Bug fixes. They fixed an issue where grass was an unnatural color. characters were intermittently invisible in match replays to the death cam, which we all saw. It was just a bunch of floating weapons.
Yeah.
And the anti-cheat launcher is now updated, and the first it's automatically in there, so you can go in and disable it if you want to, but now it's just automatically set there. And that was just in addition to the patch that they had let everybody know previously. So not a whole lot has changed there. Those don't really affect us all that much.
Right. Yeah.
Death cam you might notice, but
Yeah, what's cool about this, and this is something that I kind of skimmed over the last time, I was listening to the Infection podcast today, and it was their recent episode, and I think the label is anti-cheat, something about anti-cheat. And Nick was talking about how, like, the anti-cheat solution is, for him, the biggest thing that they've added in this patch that we talked a little bit about last week. So they developed their own in-house anti-cheat solution. So previously they were using BattleEye, so it looks like they're moving away from that and into using PUBG Corp developed anti-cheat. And I don't really know what this means, right? Because there's a chance, like some of the other things that they've done, they could screw this up pretty bad. Or it could be thoroughly eliminating cheating for good because they can control everything about it. So it remains to be seen, but honestly, we've mentioned recently, cheating hasn't been an issue.
nope.
At least in our region that we play in.
Yeah, I think I've reported 2 people in the last couple of weeks, so
Yeah. But this is pretty cool to see that they are taking all the data that they've mined from the very beginning. They used to talk about how much data that they were collecting, and you guys have seen the infographics that they've put out saying like how many chicken dinners have been won and how many shots have been fired from the SCAR, for example. They gather every single bit of data from every single match, and it looks like they're using that along with all of Unreal Engine's tools to develop their own anti-cheat solution. So kind of cool. It might actually make the game run better potentially because they don't have BattleEye running on your machine in the background. I don't know if that's a true statement. I made that up just now, but it might be true. If you say it with authority, it sounds real, right?
it does.
But yeah,
I'm taller than Dan,
not a true statement. No,
but you would have believed me though if you didn't know you were taller than
that's
me, right?
true. That's true. See, you getting it? You getting it?
I know what's up.
So yeah, that wraps up PC patch 14. I mean, nothing new really, just little changes. But there's a pretty major downtime coming up. It's like 6 hours, right?
Yes, as when you guys will be listening to this, it will be totally over. But
Yeah. So
crazy for whatever reason, they are migrating data between servers, I guess, and it's going to take 6 hours.
they updated their privacy policy. Yeah. And right after we recorded that, some breaking news.
War mode, war mode, war mode. Come on down to Erangel. You'll get a Car 98 and a pistol.
War mode's back. That's a thing. That's happening. Oh my god.
What do you get, Dan?
War mode is back. So every time war mode comes back, we have what we call the war room in our Discord, and it's just one voice channel, and it just says war droppers. And then after droppers, there's a face, a smiley face.
It's an original emoticon.
Yes, a colon and a close parentheses. I flip it to the happy face when war mode comes back, and it goes to the sad face when war mode is gone. But now we're back to the happy face because war mode's back, and it's a good one. Unlike the garbage trash that was the last one.
Like that very enthusiastic announcer said, it's on Erangel, 3 teams of 10, and everybody drops in with a Car 98 and a pistol with a 4x scope.
John's bread and butter, as y'all say.
Yeah,
the 4X and the Car 98.
Whew.
It's going to be so fun. So it's not open right now. It opens up Thursday night, Pacific time, 10 p.m. And it runs for, I believe, 3 days, like the usual amount of time. I think it closes up on Sunday. And it's going to be a welcome comeback, a true return to form for the event modes. It's going to be sick.
Whew, man, it's just going to be a lot of fun, really hard. Everybody get that practice in with that Car 98. It should be a real hoot.
Yeah. And also the 10-man squads are back. That was the heart and soul of War Mode the first time we played it.
It was garbage with the 5 teams or whatever it was, 10 teams of 5.
Yeah. Yep. So now we have fewer teams, 3 teams of 10, 30 people. Should be less load on the server, smoother performance. Hopefully, just overall a better experience. But I'm loving this weapon loadout. This is sweet. Good stuff.
So get in there, do some stuff.
War mode.
Bug.
And on top of that, Savage extended not once, but twice.
Again, everybody do the funky chicken for much longer than we actually anticipated. They've extended Sanak, aka Savage, aka Sausage, aka Savage, one more time, and everybody gets to play it now through Monday.
Yes.
So this is the second time that they've extended this. I think that they are doing this because they've essentially realized there are only like a handful of bugs, and they want to be able to fix them before they pull it, and then they're going to launch it next, at the end of next week, probably. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, because the only bug that's blatantly obvious that we've seen is the cars just freaking out for some people. But
cars have issues, yeah. Cars have issues.
They like flip around in the middle of the air and just spin and just do crazy shit. And that's just, to some people, it's definitely a disconnect between client and server, because sometimes I see the car sitting there completely normal. So once they iron that out, I haven't noticed anything else.
No.
The one thing that they did bring up in a small patch note was that they realized that there was some performance hit because there's a lot of people in a very small area on the smaller map. So they noticed that because there's a lot of tree cover, you really can't see anyone from about 1,000 meters away. That's one of the big squares on the map. So what they're doing is just eliminating the rendering of players that are over 1,000 meters away, which makes total sense. When would you ever see one that far away? So I get it. And the odds of actually seeing someone and killing them from that far away are just nothing. So for those of you complaining about this, you're wrong. But one thing that I did see, Wacky Jackie tweeted out, he was concerned that if you don't render the player at up to 1,000 meters, you might not hear their gunshots. And I don't know for sure if you can hear a gunshot over 1,000 meters away or not. But if you could hear it, it would be so quiet anyway that I don't really think you could make a move on it or have it impact your game at all. Because like if I hear a gunshot now on Miramar 1,000 meters away, by the time I head that way, like they're gone. Like there's no chance I would get there fast enough. So I don't know. It's just something to think about. It's one opinion that I kind of want to see how it plays out, if that hurts the game at all. But
very interesting.
Yeah. So another little thing they're doing for performance. But yep, Sanok's back for a second time. I'm excited. That's what we're gonna play on the weekend, dude.
Yes, it is.
It's the superior of the 3 maps, hands down.
Yeah, 100%,
100p.
You are now leaving the personal computer place.
Beep boop.
Have a great day.
Mobile home. Beep beep.
All right, so we do have rumors of mobile now getting first-person perspective. That's pretty cool. I mean, this game, obviously, it's got a crazy amount of content. The Chinese version of the game seems to be well ahead of the international version of the game. But apparently, there's a lot of stuff going on, including first person now.
Yeah. We have a beta.
There is a beta.
I don't know how you're going to play first person on your phone, but you can do it because there's a beta. And to get it, you can go to the PUBG Mobile official Discord and just go to the announcements section, and it tells you how to use the beta commands to get APK. So I believe this only works if you are an Android user, to be able to install the beta client for the mobile version. And it looks like it has a lot of different features, but we don't have any patch notes to really share with you other than it's got a lot more features. So go and check it out. I know KK's in there. A couple other mobile people in our Discord are all about it. So go check it out and let us know what you think so we can beef up this segment a little bit more, because we'd like to hear what you guys have to say about the mobile version that is the superior PUBG version.
Nailed it.
Some of the other things are the SLR, the weapon that was just added to PC, coming to mobile already. They have a really cool, I think we mentioned it last time, like a weapons gallery where you can see the weapon kind of spinning around and all of its stats, and then you can attach different attachments to it to see how those attachments affect the overall stats.
That's just nuts.
Like, there's going to be a link I'll put in the show notes. You can click it, and there's this little video. It's like 35 seconds long of just showing a spinning weapon, a person like putting a silencer on it, and how the statistics of the weapon increase or decrease based on what you add. It's crazy. Like, they have so much going on in the mobile version. I don't understand how we don't have this on PC yet. But
Blows my mind.
can you imagine playing a first-person game like this on a mobile device? I feel like that's going to be really hard.
We're in the future, man.
It's just too small, though. It's just too small. The future is too small.
Play it on a tablet.
Yeah, I guess. Pretty wild.
Yeah, so that was your mobile home.
Yeah, not a whole lot to cover. But
Still.
I guess if you can, see if you can download the Chinese version. Some of you guys out there probably have Androids that you can crack and convince the device that it lives in China to download the Chinese version, because it sounds like it's quite a bit ahead of the PC one.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot of updates. We will keep you updated when there's any big patches coming out on the international version. So until then, you won't have much to your mobile home, but we like to keep you guys informed of what little that we know.
Neato Skeeto.
Yeah, buddy. So now on to Cody's favorite segment,
Jamagpy?
Jamagpy. Okay, now I press the button.
But here's a random question first.
Okay.
Can old cider make your eyebrows swell?
What?
Eyebrows swell, like sprout more eyebrow
No.
hair?
No, like my eyebrows are really hot and beginning to swell, like the skin on them.
What? I think you're allergic to something.
Spit it out. Spit it out.
I can't. It's too late. Go on without me. John gets my 50%.
Jimmy Moon, go get help!
This is trying to make a great point.
Oh, I'm worried about your eyebrows.
Me too.
I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Tell the people why we're here, John.
Competitive gaming, specifically related to PUBG.
AKA esports ready.
Exactly. It's probably something we should have talked about sooner,
Yeah.
because it's such like a big part of the game, and I feel like the community jokes about it a lot, but the devs clearly take it seriously,
Right.
and the brands that are kind of buying into this take it seriously. So I figured we should break it down and talk about competitive gaming related to it.
Let's break it down.
Okay.
So to start, competitive gaming, just in case but just in case someone doesn't know about the competitive gaming scene, it's a thing.
There's a competitive gaming scene. I can confirm.
Dano and I used to watch CSGO tournaments pretty regularly.
Yeah. Can confirm.
That was kind of my intro to competitive gaming. I knew it was a thing before that, but Twitch really got me into competitive gaming and watching it. It was a lot of fun. Incidentally, we also played CSGO, so it was a very easy in.
Right.
So anyway, for competitive gaming, usually you have, in this case, it would probably be a team, or at least a group that make up a team, even if they don't play like squad matches. It would be like an organization, usually paying players to compete in tournaments for a prize pool. And has the $2 million tournament happened, or is that still in the future?
It's still happening. They're
doing
just still doing
qualifiers
qualifiers.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Most
it's at
recently, I
least,
think it
like-
was a South African qualifier.
No, it was like Portuguese or something.
Oh, South America, maybe. I don't know. It was some Spanish-speaking nation, I think it was, because they announced it as if you speak Spanish, tune in.
So obviously, $2 million prize pool is a large sum of money.
I would say.
It's
For
pretty
some,
impressive.
for some.
For some people, it's a large amount of money. Not for Moneybags Dano.
Nope.
Um, it's not the biggest that we see in competitive gaming, but it's still a big chunk. So it's important that this game kind of has the qualities of an esport game to make this prize pool worth it. Otherwise, I think we have some problems,
Right.
which we'll get into.
And
So
the 2 million
what-
is for one tournament. I just wanted to point that out. One specific tournament has a $2 million prize pool. That doesn't mean the winner wins $2 million, but it means that across all of the prizes given out, the total is
Right.
$2 million.
So usually there's a placement in the tournament that will be in the money, basically, and everything above that will get a slightly more amount of money.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. So what does it take to be an esport? Like, what qualities in a game does it usually take to be an esport?
I have no idea.
I have some ideas.
I bet you do. There's a lot of different things. Dano, why don't you spout some knowledge?
I think the first one is consistency in some
Mm-hmm.
way, whether it is the mechanics of the game or what happens in the game. What makes it interesting, and I think we could talk a lot about this, is PUBG is the opposite of consistent as far
Right.
as where you drop, what weapons you get, what circle you get, what terrain you're fighting in. All of that is so random. So it's interesting that PUBG has been, can we call it successful so far as an esport?
I don't think we can.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons why it's interesting that PUBG is trying so hard to be an esport, when all of the other esports that I know, such as CS:GO, I would say StarCraft, even though I know nothing about it, I think there's probably some metas that are very consistent in that game as well. Certainly Dota, League of Legends. There's like a consistent way to play those games. And I think going into it, if you are someone who watches or someone who plays those games and you watch competitive, like, you know what they're doing and you know exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
Does that make sense? So like in a football game, you know they're driving down the field and they're about to score. Like, you can clearly see that. I think I'm kind of bleeding into the next point I was going to make, but which is like understanding what's going on in the game. It has to be a good spectator sport as well. But yeah, anyway, like, consistency is something that I think that a lot of the successful esports titles can say that they have, as far as one of the biggest attributes.
So the biggest esports that I really know, and I might be wrong in like the actual ranking of them. It depends on how you place them or whatever. But you have League of Legends and Dota as like the MOBAs, StarCraft for RTS, Brood War and 2 plus the remastered one, and CS:GO, right? You have others like Hearthstone, Overwatch, those kinds of things
Yeah,
have a
Halo.
Call of Duty. They do have competitive scenes, but I think those first four are kind of the largest or
Yeah.
like the best examples.
Yeah, the big daddy, big dogs.
And why I would say they're the best examples is, like you were talking about, they're very consistent. There's very little amounts of RNG in those games. And RNG is an interesting term. It stands for random number generator, and it's basically something that computer programmers use, or gamers, to talk about randomness. It's like, if you think about the spray on an SMG, right? It doesn't always hit the same exact points. If you sprayed it at a wall like 15 times, you would have different bullet decals in the wall every time you looked at it, right?
Right. You have the spray pattern, and then you have the deviation, basically.
Right. So it's not perfectly consistent. And that's, I'm not saying that that's a terrible thing, but that, just to give you an idea of what RNG is, RNG would be a factor in deciding where those bullets hit in the wall, like what the angle of deviation from where exactly your cursor is or your crosshair is to where it hits in the wall, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So StarCraft has like almost zero RNG. Everything else is all about strategy and execution and like outthinking your opponents. Counter-Strike has very little. There's some first bullet inaccuracy. It's very small, especially because the maps are smaller. So that doesn't usually matter that much. Is there anything else really in that that's random?
Not
I can't think of
really,
anything
no.
else.
Because well, I guess the only other randomness, the big one, is who starts on what side. So usually Counter-Strike matches are kicked off by a knife round. So everyone, the two teams of 5 run at each other, and whoever is the last man standing, that team gets to choose what side they start on. And there's
Right.
2 sides: the counter-terrorist versus terrorist, which is basically attack and defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a little bit of randomness in the knife round because those always seem kind of like a coin flip. But as far as the actual gameplay, there's really not much because
There's not really much.
you're always going to get a certain amount of money for every kill, and you'll know sort of what your opponents will have as far as bankroll because you'll know that how many kills they got, and you'll know that they lost the round.
You know exactly how much money they have. If you wanted to calculate it and count it up, you would know.
Yeah, if you had a coach like sitting over your shoulder, like watching every kill and like every round, you would have a very good idea of what kind of gear your opponents will have going up against you for the next round. And maybe we can just explain quick. So Counter-Strike is a game where you get money into your bank if you get kills, and then you purchase better weapons the following rounds with the money that you accumulate as you go. So if you win a round, you get a certain amount of bonus money. If you lose, you still get a little bit, but you don't get as much. And if you continually lose, you will get slightly more loss bonus every time so that you can eventually catch up and have a full buy round. So you have a full a round where all of yourself and your teammates have the best gear they can get. And then you basically have that one chance to potentially win the round and turn the economy into your favor by basically making the other team lose and therefore not able to purchase the weapons that they need to go against you. So it's kind of complex, but that's the basics of CS.
And if you want to, the League of Legends and Dota, the MOBAs, they don't have a lot of randomness either. Some, what are they? Some like attacks or abilities might be slightly random. I don't know them well enough to say that, but for the most part, it's all controlled. Some spawn times for NPC camps have some randomness to it, but in general, most of the game is very well controlled. So, Cody,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a guess and say that you don't watch much competitive gaming.
0 ever. Not
Right.
once.
So, can you spot the difference between PUBG and all these games that we're mentioning?
No. I mean, yes. I can't spot it because I didn't watch, but I can decipher using my ears.
Yeah.
These things inside of PUBG that make it entertaining for us to play do not make them entertaining to watch necessarily when you're watching other people.
Totally.
That is the first thing that I noticed out of all of this, which kind of encompasses the rest of it. Because you have no idea what's going on the other side. You can't keep track of how other people are doing, and round to round doesn't matter because there's only one round.
Right.
Nailed it. And you're not in an enclosed space, a map where you know it so well that you know exactly when to expect someone around a corner and how to set up against that.
Controlled variables.
That's super key because, like, while we know these maps inside and out, you don't understand how that works when you're just spectating. And it's really frustrating when everybody plays so differently, whereas I can assume in all these games the meta is because it is the best way to play, not because it is the preferred way to play.
That is exactly right, because meta actually stands for most effective tactic available, if you want to use an acronym for that. I actually looked that up because I was curious if it stood for anything or if it was just like meta kind of means something itself, right? But most effective tactic available, even though it might not be the one that is the most obvious.
Interesting. Well, I guess for PUBG, that still stands for the same thing. It depends on the person, I guess, because the most effective thing available to you is not necessarily the thing that's actually going to be the most effective, you know?
Yeah, it's
Right.
kind of like, I don't know, now the most effective way to engage an up close fight would be an SMG, but it's not the most obvious choice because you'd think a assault rifle would be better, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. That's a very low level example, I think.
Right. And there's so many, so like the point I want to or one of the points that I want to make is just the sheer amount of RNG in the game. And it's not just because of the way the game is put together, but because the way the game is built. For like 100 people with server connections and that kind of thing, that adds a lot of volatility to to everything, a lot of variables. So if you jump like 100 times from a crate, like a shipping container, to another shipping container at like Novo on Erangel, right? How many times would you fall off of it, and how many times would you make it if you jump from the same spot?
Because
Like
of lag,
sometimes,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes the server doesn't register that you jumped it and just deletes that input or whatever, and you just fall off, or something weird happens. That's been happening a lot more lately. But as an example, that would never happen in Counter-Strike, Overwatch, or whatever. You don't
Never.
jump over something and then get lagged back in a tournament. That's incredibly crazy. So the other things that would be a factor is like, so plane path, loot spawns, the circle spawns, the loot
Crate drops.
packages. Yep, crate packages, car spawns. Basically every fucking part in this game is random, or at least if not fully random, then some amount of variability in it.
Where you go, usually you can find good loot at the military base, but you don't know where that loot is or exactly what's going to be there. You just know there's a better chance of better loot there.
Right. Or if anyone is there to fight against, or where they will be. None of that. You don't know anything. You're basically
Right.
running blind. And that's what makes it so great to watch, but not so great to play sometimes.
No. That's what makes it good to watch with your friends, not so good to play competitively.
Competitively, that's what I meant to say, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the part that makes it fun for us to play as people who play this on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it's good in an esports tournament where there's money on the line. I would never bet $10 that we would come out of a round alive. That seems like
No.
a terrible bet just because of all the variables. They're not betting so much but they're investing their time for like a large prize pool. Can you imagine getting in a fight with somebody and then taking a bullet that seems decent, or like you fall off a crate or something and that puts you in a bad position or separates you from your team and you lose because of that? I would be furious.
Yeah.
I'd be very mad.
Or you get stuck in the ground, or you get stuck in a door, or like
Any other random known bug.
a vehicle randomly flips, or it hits a rock and you explode, or,
Right.
Anything.
And obviously the players will have to sign something that says we're not responsible if
Yeah.
you get fucked over because our game code is bad.
If
Totally.
you lose $2 million because you can't code a game,
We're not liable.
But still,
that's not on you.
that doesn't mean that it's right to make this an esport just because they aren't liable for it, because they make players pay it. So I think it's silly. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, and we talked about it briefly, is spectators. Now, I might be differently minded than the rest of you, but I love playing this game and I hate watching it.
I love watching us play when we're watching each other, just because I'm invested in it. I also like
Yes.
watching Shroud because he's really, really good, but not for long periods of time.
I don't give a shit about Shroud. I don't care that he's like an insane aimer or anything like that. If he's playing, like, if somebody sends me a highlight clip of him, I really don't care. It doesn't tickle my fancy at all. I think it's boring for the most part to watch. Part of it is because the gameplay is there's a big chunk of time in the middle where the game slows down.
Oh yeah.
But I just think that this game isn't conducive to spectatorship as much as other games. And I think part of that is what we were talking about, how like expectations, like in Counter-Strike, you get a sense of the game and then you can kind of know how the game is going to play out, and then you wait. The fun part is the player skills, right, that come out. And I think there's too many variables in PUBG for that to be as apparent, and it's less interesting in PUBG than other games.
So you're less interested in the pure skill of an individual PUBG player versus like the storyline that the game is telling you?
I don't think there's enough of a story in PUBG, like throughout the game, for it to be interesting to get my attention.
I see. So like in Counter-Strike, so like even if you watch PUBG with like X-ray vision on, right, and you could see the players coming towards you,
right,
that still doesn't measure up to the storyline of a team down by 6 rounds on Dust 2, and they manage to pull together an SMG buy, and they rush B, and they pull off an insane win, and therefore turn the tide of the economy in their favor, and now can take the lead. They win 5 rounds in a row after that. So it's more like the narrative that gets you going.
Right. I'll give you an example. NIP at Nuke was down 14-1, switched to the harder side, and defended it to win 16-14.
Stop talking gibberish.
Insane game. Blew my mind. It's their map. They're really good at it, but still coming back 16 to win 15 rounds in a row. Just absolutely crazy. But that is not my only point. The fact that I don't like watching this. The other thing about this game is there's too much going on for one spectator mode to be able to capture all the action for it to be interesting enough for the viewer to watch.
Yeah, like if you sorry to interrupt you, but whenever I did watch some highlights of whatever, they had a competition like, I don't know, 8 months ago or something like that.
Gamescom.
Gamescom, and they missed so much important shit because they couldn't keep track of what was going to happen or who to focus on.
Do you know how many people were playing in that tournament? I don't know. I'm curious.
I have no idea.
I'm not. I'll check into it right now. I'll Google it as you guys play.
I'm going to guess 60, 80 players. I don't know how many, but I'm going to guess somewhere around there. That's what like the H1Z1 tournament I think was 60. That's why I'm saying that. 60 people with most of the action, like I assume, is when you land and at the end of the game, right? Because that's when the most concentrated amount of players. You can't catch all that action live.
Nope.
And if you wait until after the game airs, then you have leaks, you have spoilers. It's not as interesting.
It's the same thing. Nobody wants to watch an NFL game after it happens. Yeah,
you don't want to tape an NFL game. You want to watch it live with everyone. So I think an inherent problem with this game being competitive is that the spectatorship isn't ironed out enough for it to be interesting. You're going to have players that you want to watch it. Let's assuming you want to watch the game and you are a fan of somebody, you're going to want to watch that player. You're not going to be able to see their whole experience. You're not going to have that storyline, as Dana was talking about, referencing. But like, so that's going to bring your viewership away from it. Like, you're just going to watch a bunch of random people. And yeah, it might get you interested in other players, but most likely you'll just be frustrated with most of the action happening.
Or lack of.
Right. So real quick, Gamescom Invitational took place on August 23rd to August 26th of 2017, and it had a $350,000 prize pool, and it was 80 players held in Cologne, Germany. And if you guys want a little more coverage of that, I actually did an episode way back when I was doing the show solo and on YouTube. So you can go over to our YouTube channel, and it's episode 12 called Gamescom Goodness. And I talk a little bit about this and show some example clips of them cutting away right when action was about to happen.
Right. Like you would see in the kill feed that stuff happens, but it's just, it's hard to keep track of it. It's hard to, you can't show two simultaneous fights happening. And the odds are that that's going to happen with 80 players on the map.
Right. You'll have teams running into each other and like pinching each other, and you'll just miss out on what's really happening.
Yeah, and whose side do you show it from?
Yeah, right.
Like, in Counter-Strike with X-ray, like with the spectator X-ray, like you can see who's about to come up upon who and who probably has a better angle or something like that. Those spectators are insanely good at their job, but it's not as difficult as trying to watch a PUBG game. So I think those are the major problems with it. And just real quick, other optimization things. I know that PUBG is a different game from H1, but H1 is the best example we have right now, H1Z1. They did a tournament, and the first several tournaments were performed very poorly, even on LAN, because of the net code.
And also what they try to do, while you were talking about taping an NFL game, they tried to do that. They had a tournament that they aired on the CW, national TV, and it was recorded. So the leak came out who won, and everyone knew it was going to happen. And so it kind of lost all its flair, because why would you want to watch a game when you already know what's going to happen?
Right.
But they tried it and didn't really work out. But
yeah,
stop trying to make esports happen on national TV. Though E-League did a good job with CSGO, I'll have to say that.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, so I think there are a lot of problems with PUBG, and I don't see any answers. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should PUBG be an esport? Is there a way out? Like, can you see a version of PUBG that is an esport, like maybe an event mode or something? Like, what do you think?
It's tough because we don't have enough exposure to different types of game modes. I feel like what they need to do is like a smaller game mode, fewer people, smaller map.
Yeah.
More controlled variables.
Yeah.
But then if they do that, that takes away from everything that PUBG is.
Yeah, it's not PUBG at that point.
So it's not PUBG anymore. It's just a shooter with shitty netcode. You know? Like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. I think the biggest thing would be to scale it down, to not do 100 people and not do an 8x8 kilometer map. It's just too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what else you can do to make it something that is enjoyable to watch for you. I mean, other people might think this is enjoyable to watch with the RNG and they might love it, but I agree with you that like it's not as exciting as a game with more controlled variables.
I mean, when the invitational happens, I'm going to look up to see what happens, but there's no way I'm going to watch it.
So I'll probably tune in if I know if it's heavily advertised and I'm able to catch it. Like, but I'm not going out of my way to write it on my calendar. Like, hey, watch the finals, right?
Like, you know, it's gonna be on Twitch. So,
and you guys have a podcast about this game.
Yeah,
yeah.
Show that out there.
Yep.
And I think that's like another point is like, will esports ever be as big as football or baseball?
I mean, in other countries, it already is.
Other countries it is, but in the U.S., I'm going to say no. Like, I just don't think it has that appeal, because even with us doing this podcast and how many people play this game, there's just a small sliver of that number who actually watch, tune in, and care about esports. Like, you don't really have... And I think Overwatch is trying to do this. So what Overwatch is doing is taking teams and giving them cities. So, like, there's the Boston team, and there's a L.A. team. And that makes it a little bit easier to understand and know who to root for. Because, like, otherwise you just have the Cloud9 team. That's, like, the name of the sponsor. Or the, I don't know, not the AMD team, but I can't think of any other.
CLG.
SK Gaming, CLG. Yeah, like, you just have those names that don't mean anything to anyone.
Yeah.
But if you root for the Boston Bandits or whatever they are, like, oh, okay, like, I'm from Boston, so I should root for these guys. So I think that's, like, the first step in trying to make this a little more mainstream, too. I still think Overwatch isn't the right game to do it. But it's unfortunate because all of these games that would make for great esports are about shooting people in the face.
Yep.
That is another issue.
I mean, we've already got real people playing with balls, so you can't do that on a video game and expect people to pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, the hurdle of, like, little Timmy, 12-year-old, sitting down in front of the TV, and mom walks in the room and she sees, like, violence and guns and, the games that make for such great esports are these violent games that are not suitable for kids. And that's going to be a major, major hurdle to getting this esports thing into the mainstream and onto like ABC.
How do you get a younger fan base and build up generations of fans if you can't show them to the younger ones?
Yeah. And the other problem is if it's not a shooter game, it's a game like StarCraft where the average player has no fucking clue what's happening. Or like Dota or League of Legends. I sit down and look at that and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know who's winning. I don't know like what abilities each character has. I don't know what the lines mean, like midline, high line, or whatever it is. I don't even understand it. I know nothing about it. And like you have to, and I guess you could say the same for football, but like you get it. The guy catches the ball, he runs in the end zone, people cheer. But so like it's not always obvious what the win criteria is in some of these games.
I think so. Some of that is cultural. My wife is from China, and she doesn't understand football or baseball. She's in the same line where you are with Dota. She's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's winning, who has the ball, what day it is, anything like that. She's very confused about everything sport related. But yeah, I think that there is still a high barrier for just more casual viewers. But I don't think PUBG is even close to being an esport, and I don't think it'll be the one to bridge the gap between new viewers and players.
So what do you think about Fortnite being that? Is that possible because of the little more cartoony look to it, the little less violence there is? Do you think that has potential to be a BR game that's an esport?
I still think the fundamental problem is there's too much going on at one time for a viewer to care about. For a viewer to watch their favorite person and get the action that they want. I think it's just too much for the spectator applications that we have right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you, because you asked us, do you think there's anything PUBG can do to make it better to watch from a competitive standpoint?
I think the closest thing to make it more interesting, having a smaller map, I think that makes sense. Reduce the RNG as much as they can, maybe not the loot, but the circles or something. Showing the first circle in the beginning might be helpful, or I don't know. Something along those lines to reduce the amount of randomness in the game. But I still think the fundamental problem is there. There's too much going on at once for you to follow the people that you want to see. So no, I don't think that PUBG will ever be an esport titan. It might be an insane game to play. It might keep growing its fan base or become the biggest game in history, anything like that. But I don't think it'll ever be an esport worth talking about.
And that's been John, everyone, making a really harsh, sad and harsh point.
I just think it should stop trying. There's not a good reason. The only reason is like outside revenue streams. Stick with microtransactions.
Yeah, man. Give us more content. Don't worry about being a competitive game. Let's just play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seriously. Yep. That was Cody making a fucking great point.
That was good. I like that. I didn't know what you guys were talking about half the fucking time, but I enjoyed that.
I too enjoyed that.
I even got up for 2 minutes.
I heard you
back.
get up.
You just jumped right back in. You knew what was going on. That's perfect. Question of the week. Question of the week. It's time for the question of the week. And it was, what is the lore of this game? What is going on? And here to deliver your answers straight to your ear holes, a special guest. Enjoy.
Hi everybody, I'm Scale Speeder from the Discord, and I'm really honoured to have been asked by the boys to read out the questions of the week. Well, the answers to the question of the week, which was, why are we here? Give us a quick summary about what you think the lore of this game is. So we've had amazing answers to this one, and let's start off with Chasmahar in the Discord, and he says, alright, so I've thought about this a dumb amount, and it's for sure influenced by the stupid amount of science fiction audiobooks I listen to. But here is what I like to think. I think it's based in the future. The whole thing is a training program for soldiers. Medical technology has gotten to the point where we can remotely keep an up-to-date imprint of people's consciousness via brain implant. Like a system that constantly updates changes in neural pathways, it's an up-to-date record of memories and experience. They can also record implants of bodies at whatever age they want. So they take people in peak condition, edit their genes to favour endurance and stuff like that, and make a record of their DNA at that moment. So the game is to condition soldiers to death and combat. You constantly have to fight for your life, but each time you die they grow you another copy of your body and update the blank brain to your last status. So you can die over and over again, but retain the experience. So by the time these people actually have to fight, they go into their first experience with combat as hardened vets. At the end of every game, everyone is revived and fed gruel. Whoever wins gets a chicken dinner. Sorry, that was so long. LOL. Well, I think that's really brilliant. That one, I love that one, Chasmahar. And then he says, I've got a new thought. The people who get into war mode are the ones who do well in the game. And that is how nations settle their conflicts, with literal war games rather than traditional war. Deathcoat Betty says, it's much simpler than we ever thought. It's a dating show. All participants have voluntarily signed up to fight and die for their chance to win a date with the dream girl, or I guess dream boy, of their choice. That choice is, of course, from 3 options. Your Aunt Judy, Janet Reno, the 3-breasted alien from the original Total Recall. Well, that's, I know which one I would go for. That's brilliant, Deathcoat Betty. Fantastic. The Pickle Tickle says it's a crappy Minecraft Hunger Games remake. Yep. And Jammy then goes on to say, to know the lore of PUBG, you have to collect 1 million Grimoire cards. And if you've played Destiny 1, you'll know what that's all about. In fact, I tell you what, I'm re-watching Battle Royale at the moment, the original Japanese film, and if you haven't watched it already, it is brilliant. It's really good. And then you'll understand where lots of the things come from the game, like the sickle and the pan. Kyla LK then says, then and only then can you log on to Bungie.net and read the lore. Jammy says 1 million should be in the voice of Elon Musk doing a Dr. Evil impersonation. Right, J.A. Wilson on the Discord says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the planet is Earth. The galaxy is, well, whatever the fuck galaxy Earth is in. The year is 2019. Sports have all become non-existent because of kneeling and the rigging of games. So one bright person, we will call him Player Unknown for the sake of the story. Well, Mr. Unknown decided to bring a sport from the past. His Colosseum will be Erangel, and his sport, well, that is Battlegrounds. Much like the gladiators of yesteryear, it is a fight to the death, only instead of 1v1, Mr. Unknown decided to make his version 1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v1v motorcycle helmets, like that will save them, but also fully automatic assault rifles. As for the victor, they not only receive a full chicken dinner, but also battle points. Fantastic, Jay Wilson, love that one. Mr. Suds as well, the film Battle Royale, that is the law, isn't it, really? Which, if you don't know, is a bunch of Japanese kids. They kind of passed this law in Japan, where every year a school, a class from a school gets sent. They all get sent to this island to kill each other. So anyway, watch the film, you'll love it. Charlie MCN, Xbox One, says at Mr. Suds, but he didn't copy it. It's all his IP. Jay Wilson says Battle Royale, the movie. Yep, that would be it. And all right, they're going to a bit of a conversation about Battle Royale. Here we go. Let's go back down. All right, now here we come to my one, and I apologise for this, people. It's a little bit long, but I kind of got inspired by some of the previous entries to do my own one. Now, the idea with my one is that it's a speech at the funeral of an emperor, a Roman emperor Caesar the 24th, and the idea is obviously that the Roman Empire is continued to this day. So here it goes. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar the 24th and to praise him. The good that men do lives after them. The evil is oft interned with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brendan hath told you Emperor Caesar was selfless, that in this third millennia of our magnificent empire his actions hath guaranteed our prosperous and peaceful future for a further millennia and more. So what better tribute could there be than to throw our enemies, subverters, doubters and traitors into mortal combat in a struggle unto the death, as we reinstate the ancient rules of the Colosseum. 100 at a time shall be sent to the once rebel island of Erengel, 100 more to the defeated enclave of Miramar, and yet 100 more to the subjugated country of Sanhok. Their deaths will serve as a warning to all others who seek to challenge our mighty Roman Empire. The same magnetic field that defended noble Rome against the cowardly Ruthenian surprise attack of a few short years ago will be used to herd these gladiators closer until only one remains. The lone victor shall be glorified with a feast of our finest poultry, and as is our custom for heroes returning from war. And the magnetic field will be the colour of the standard of Caesar the 24th, a royal blue, so that all will remember his greatness and weep. Let the games begin. Yeah, sorry about that. Apologise. Right. Deathcoat Betty says, well composed, but haven't seen any pictures of Janet Reno lately. No, that is true. Kyla LK says, the island of Erengel was captured by the USSR in 1936 for later use. It stayed fairly empty for many years until the Cold War. The USSR began secretly moving very important assets to the island in the 1950s. They began working on new types of nuclear weapons to counter the ones the Americans had. Researchers on the island began building houses and towns to test the nuclear blast. However, one day something happened. The uranium used in the test had been removed from its secure container and placed in the water supply. The scientists and civilians were infected with a disease never seen before. They were kept on the island for many years as a form of quarantine. The lingering radiation created a strange blue circle around the island. All traces of the island were scrubbed from the history books and removed from maps. In 2007, the Russian government decided to send 100 convicts to the island to investigate what happened. That sounded all well and good. As the plane carrying everyone flew over the island, the captain said one thing that changed everything. Only one person gets to leave this island. Good luck. And so begins the game's events. Another great explanation, another great idea of the lore behind our favourite game, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And I think that's everything. Yeah, brilliant. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed the question of the week. I don't know what the next question will be. I'm sure it'll be great. And thanks for the guys for inviting me to read about. Thanks. That's Scale Speeder from the Discord. Cheers. Bye.
Absolutely brilliant work by Scale Speeder. Thank you so much for your segment there and for the very quick turnaround on getting that recording over to us. I just really enjoyed that. That was a really fun question of the week, and thank you all for your really fun answers. And if you haven't yet, go over to YouTube, type in Scale Speeder Gaming, and give this man a follow. He does fantastic content on YouTube for a variety of games, not just PUBG. So check it out.
All right. So this week's question of the week is, what weapon would you like to see added to this game? And it can be specialized for each map if you would like. So weapon for Erengel, weapon for Miramar, weapon for Savage Sausage, Sanhok Funky Chicken.
Yep. And
we want to know.
Hotline 508-216-0006. We will take your text messages and your voicemails and play them off during that segment. I think it's just going to make it a lot more fun. Because think about how much fun you guys have hearing the voicemails. Got to contribute to that to make everyone happy.
So please use the HOTDROP hotline for all of your question of the week needs.
Absolutely. Again, 508-216-0006.
You have new messages. Subject joining. So my teammate just got into this recently and my question is, can I still join?
Subject: I would like to join HOTDROP. I would like to join HOTDROP because I saw few streamers play in here and it looked very fun when almost all server tries to win a game and not just go and die in first minutes.
Subject 6-1 update. I really like the podcast and I wish I wrote to you guys before now, but at this point I have nothing but rage. I just updated my Xbox looking forward to a few hours of game as I was working my ass off all week. I downloaded the update and then it all became a big bag of fuck me. If I had the chance to load a game, I got killed without seeing a damned thing, and when I tried to start another I got hung up waiting for a match in squads followed by a message about how the game sucks. Why are the updates making things worse? And fuck them twice. Because the game was so bad tonight, it finally made me play a round of Fortnite and that shit is just not right. Like 60 feet from a playground, not right. I love the podcast, I love this game when it works right, but god fucking damn it, this is amateur fucking bullshit for a company that sold enough units to finance Detroit in 1962. I'd only have so many hours a week to play what I want, damn it.
Alright, I gotta jump in here real quick and play this with the Italian accent, because this is the funniest thing we've heard all week.
Subject 6-1 update. I really like the podcast and I wish I wrote to you guys before now, but at this point I have nothing but rage. I downloaded the update and then it all became a big bag of fuck me. Fuck them twice. I love the podcast, I love this game when it works right, but god fucking damn it, this is amateur fucking bullshit for a company that sold enough units to finance Detroit in 1862.
Subject: Info. How can I play on your tournaments? Please answer, thanks, and have a great day. Smiley face.
Go, go, shoot, shoot.
Hello, is this thing on? Quick message from Corporal Mongball here, all the way from over the pond. A little bit busy at the moment, as you can probably hear, but just thought I'd send a quick message to let you guys, Dano and the other guy, Lord McBanface. You're doing a super job over there, and everyone fighting this side of the pond in the battle for eternal greatness fully supports everything you're doing. Keep up the good work, boys. Gotta go. Oh my god, that was close.